Hey folks, this is Chris Lucas of theprotestantview.com. I'm known as Liquid Smooth on YouTube, and I'm also known as The Protestant View on YouTube. That's my other YouTube channel, so one I plan to try to use more. Liquid Smooth was like when I used to DJ and stuff, and I still sort of do, but anyway, today I just wanted to do a video about the connection I see between Amnesty and the Roman Catholic Church. Trying to bring this to other people's attention, because a lot of people are like, why are these politicians and everyone, why are they trying to push this amnesty? Well, part of the reason is, as you can see on the front of this Time Life magazine, is they want to push amnesty for illegals because most of your illegals are Mexican, and most of them are Roman Catholic. 90% of them are Roman Catholic. 90% of the Mexican population is Roman Catholic. So when they illegally come to America, you're making America more Catholic, which is strengthening the Catholic power here. The power of the Catholic Church is strengthened. It's voting power strengthened. And people, let's not forget, the Vatican is a foreign country. And so, and America was founded on the ideals of Protestantism, or on Protestant ideology. So, to try to take and make it more Catholic is actually attacking America. It's like, yes, we got freedom of religion, but why do we have freedom of religion? It's because, Protestants are made up of several denominations, several different beliefs. We don't have one specific doctrine that all Protestants believe in. So, instead of like killing each other, we just want to have like a basic freedom of religion, which our founders understood that Christianity is true religion. Okay? So, they never really, as far as everything I understand, and this is what I understood even before I became a Christian, and this is just reading their documents and reading all these founding documents and all these old books from that day and putting myself in the mindset of people of that day. My understanding was, this is not based just because I'm Christian, like, someone might want to try to say. No, this is just based on, like, if I was to take and dig up a culture, like, let's say just go study some ancient civilization, I will read all of their material, everything that they read, all the things that they believed in, studying, and put myself in their mind. And I would start to understand, oh, this culture must be such and such. This must be their belief system. Okay? So that's all I did. I just kind of went back and looked at the founding of America and put myself in their mind. Okay? And this is what I see when I put myself in their minds, and immersing myself in their culture, in their way of thinking, and their thoughts. And that is that they wanted freedom of religion. And in their eyes, all true religion stemmed from Christianity. So it's like, false religion, they never really protected, and they kind of saw any religion that wasn't based on Christianity as being a false religion. And I don't think they really intended it to have any protections under our Constitution. Because if that's the case, then, a Satanist should be able to have freedom of religion. Well, why aren't Satanists allowed freedom of religion? Why isn't, someone that practices pedophilia, why don't they have freedom of religion? Well, see, obviously, in their minds, it's okay. In their worldview, it's okay to do what they do. Some religions want to kill Christians. How come they don't get to have freedom of religion? So, I mean, they did believe in freedom of religion, but they believed in freedom of true religion, and they believed that our rights came from God. Okay? So if our rights come from God, we have to be able to know God in order to know what rights He gave us. So if they were sitting there going, well, we don't know who God is, then how can you tell us we have inalienable rights? Go find out who God is, and then you can go write your Constitution and start telling us about inalienable rights. See, folks, this is just logic, okay? They just, logically, they needed to know God, and they needed to know who God was before they could tell us if He even gave us rights. What if He didn't even give us any rights? But see, in the Constitution it says, it makes it claim that we are given these inalienable rights or unalienable rights by our Creator. And that governments are established to protect these rights that God already gave us. So governments do not create rights, governments do not establish rights, governments merely protect rights that God already gave us. And so this is the premise of America, that governments are created to protect rights already given to us by God. So, anyway, so when they established freedom of religion, it was it was basically more in the sense of freedom of denomination. And they wouldn't exactly attack someone who was like Muslim or something. Like, they're not going to sit there and punish you for being Muslim. But what it meant was, like, as long as you could be even of another religion and be here, just as long as it didn't infringe upon what we thought our rights were given to us by God. And it's like, these are just basic rights that the majority of Christians all agreed upon. Okay? So, anyway. So all this basically comes from Protestant ideology. The concept of America and its freedom of religion. And also, Roman Catholicism, they're more hierarchical. They're more monarchical. They tended to be always ruled by monarchs and kings. Whereas, America, we were the first, well, at least one of the first governments to be ruled with elected representatives, and no kings, no titles of nobility, and this was pretty unique. This was a pretty unique system of government. Anyway, but the Vatican's always seen America as like a threat to its existence, because the more Protestant ideology spreads, it would reveal the Vatican as being what it is, which many Protestants believe it's the whore of Revelation. And even in the Bible, if you read Revelations, the Vatican's really, the Catholic Church is the only entity that fits the description of the Great Whore. A lot of people try to say it's Israel, but I think these people that are trying to say it's Israel are trying to twist the Bible to protect the Catholic Church, because they don't want the Catholic Church being found out. But if you look at the amounts of Christians the Catholics kill and Christians the Jews killed, I mean, it's like millions, hundreds of millions, to maybe a couple of that, you know? I mean, it's like the Jews in Israel really haven't killed hardly any Christians. Now, but as far as the Catholic Church goes, I mean, we know about the Inquisition, we know about Yugoslavia, we know about Nazi Germany, all these things, and I mean, what happened in the Yugoslavian Holocaust? That was just back in World War II, and they would take, and the Ustashi ran Yugoslavia, and the Ustashi was ran by basically Catholic priests, and they had and they would have round people up and put them in these concentration camps, and they were gypsies, Serbs, Orthodox Christians, pretty much any Jews, anyone except Roman Catholics were rounded up. And they had things like forced conversions, where they would tell someone, hey, commit to Roman Catholicism or die. And then, even after someone converted to Roman Catholicism, they go ahead and kill them so they wouldn't be able to switch back. I mean, these were pretty sick people, and I mean, if you ever read about, the Inquisitions of the past, I mean, they were ripping babies out of the mother's wombs and all this kind of stuff. And now, folks, when we look at our government, it's very Roman Catholic. I mean, the head of the CIA, FBI, Department of Homeland Security, Secretary of Defense, Vice President, most of Obama's presidential cabinet is Roman Catholic, or they've been to some kind of Jesuit school. So you don't have any Protestants, because Protestants don't go to Catholic schools. Protestants do not join Catholic societies. Protestants don't bow to the Pope. Protestants don't call the Pope a good man. And so we haven't had, and even George Bush, he was not a Protestant, folks. He was bowing down, eating wafers with the Pope, and bowing down to the Pope, saying he sees God in the Pope's eyes.
Questions to take. Mr. President, final question. Yes, sir. You said famously, when you looked into Vladimir Putin's eyes, you saw his soul. Yeah. When you look into Benedict XVI's eyes, what do you see? God.
So, anyway, he's a very wicked man. And I think people should know this by now with 9/11 and all that. And when people try to say the Jews did 9/11, there's such a small minority of Jews, folks. There's such a small minority of people from Israel. And the network it would take to pull off something like 9/11, now almost anyone knows it takes an extremely large network of people to pull off 9/11. And that's why a lot of people think, oh, it couldn't possibly happen. But now, if we don't look at Jews, because it's really hard to find enough Jews to pull off 9/11, but if you start looking at the Roman Catholics involved, and the fake Protestants who are actually Roman Catholics, like George Bush. Oh, now when we don't look at the Jews, and we start looking at fake Protestants like George Bush, who eats wafers in the Roman Catholic Church, goes to Catholic Mass, so does his brother. You can see pictures of Jeb Bush bowing down to a bishop. and things like that. You can see Jeb Bush attending mass. You know, just type it into your search engine, you can see these things. These people are Roman Catholics, and Brown's brothers Harriman worked with the Nazis, and George Bush's family is tied into Brown's brothers Harriman. Okay, and there was even a court case that was brought before Judge Rosemary Collier, a Roman Catholic judge who Bush appointed. And this case was brought against the Bush family by Jewish Holocaust victims. Well, Judge Rosemary Collier just throws the case out. And so, see, this is how this stuff works, folks. It's not the Jews, and when you point to the Jews, that's like, you pretty much would have to have every single Jew in the whole world going along with this conspiracy in order to make it work. Like, every Jew has to be in on it. Because there's such a small population of them, every single one of them has to be in on it. And here's a Catholic magazine called Commonwealth. I guess it's supposed to be maybe short for Commonwealth, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a blog by the magazine's editors and contributors. So, and as you can see, the headline says, the Catholic takeover of the U.S. is almost complete. So, folks, and this was written only in December 19th, 2012. So, you can see that they're starting to be pretty open about this takeover of America. Because what is this Amnesty and the gun grab really about? It's about the Catholic takeover of America. See, they already got all their leaders pretty much controlling, the political arena. I mean, this is why during the Republican convention, Ralph Reed came out and said, and he's the head of the Christian Coalition, he comes out and says, you know what, for the first time, we don't have a Protestant on the Republican ticket, on the Republican presidential ticket. And I think that's progress.
A plan based on Catholic social teaching, and this resonates with a lot of evangelicals. I mean, the irony is that you're likely to see the biggest turnout of evangelical voters for the first national ticket in U.S. history without a Protestant on it. Yeah, I think that's progress, by the way.
See, this guy is supposed to be the head of the Christian Coalition, but this is probably actually, Ralph Reed's another fake Christian, fake Protestant, whatever you want to call him, and he's actually really a Roman Catholic. That's why he thinks it's progress that no Protestants on the ticket, because the Republican Party has a history of being Protestant. I mean, it was always a party of mainly Protestants, and we're the ones who got rid of slavery. I mean, it was mainly Protestants that were heading the abolition movement. It was your Roman Catholics that were rioting in the North against Lincoln, and they were led by Bishop Hughes. Bishop Hughes was the one that was starting all those riots in the North against Lincoln. And, Bishop Hughes is the same one who helped get the Bibles taken out of all the schools, out of 39 schools in New York in 1854, after he promised in 1844, he made this public declaration that, if any politician would remove the Bible from school and alter history books, that they would get the backing of the Catholic Church. Well, and politicians did take him up on it, mainly Democrats. This is why the Catholic Church has always mainly voted Democrat. Because they go, they go along with our social teachings better. The Democrat Party goes along with our social teachings. You'll always find, you go on some of these websites, start reading some of these Catholic magazines, you'll find that you'll always see people go, I don't know if I should keep voting Democrat because I don't really like this abortion thing, and I kind of question if the Democrat Party is really for our good. Well, I mean, but they'll still keep voting Democrat just because their church influences them to. But see, what the Catholic Church did was they knew if they wanted to really keep control, they couldn't just be in one party. But see, they had trouble because they only had enough of their population to manipulate a vote to either get one party or the other one to win. So what they did was they took and kept having their people vote Democrat and kept trying to, force the Democrat Party to have more Catholics involved in it. Meanwhile, they secretly funded people who faked being a Protestant, and these fake Protestants got into high positions of the Republican Party, and pretty soon these fake Protestants start voting a lot similar to the Catholic counterparts of the Democrat Party. And of these, and there's also some fake Christians in the, some fake Protestants in the Democrat Party as well, because they don't want to make it, because if you make this look too obvious, people will figure it out. So that's why, folks, when you say, oh, I always got some people attacking me going, oh, but this person, they're not Catholic. They can't make it too obvious. And I mean, in fact, it's like some of the early founding fathers, I think it was like either Jefferson or Sam Adams, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they said, like they basically called the Jesuits one of the most vile groups of people around, and they said that they'll disguise themselves as schoolmasters, as journalists, as all these different things. They said they got more disguises than the gypsies. See, and the Jesuits are an arm of the Roman Catholic Church, and see, the Jesuits are given this ability by the Catholic Church to put on all these disguises so they can infiltrate as much as possible, so they can establish Catholic power as much as possible. And it's like they do this a little bit overtly, and they do this a bit covertly as well to establish their power. And I really believe that most of your Supreme Court judges that judged in favor of Roe versus Wade, and that went to that supported this pro-abortion, and I mean, even when it came up to in votes, even more recently, there's been a couple times when Roe versus Wade could have been defeated, and you can notice that a majority of the Catholic judges voted to uphold Roe versus Wade. And any Protestant, it's like they went to some questionable denomination like Episcopalian or something. And the Episcopal Church has always been buddy-buddy with the Roman Catholic Church. I don't even know why they even call themselves Protestant, because they're nothing like a Protestant. And the Episcopalian Church has always had, what it is they always kind of supported the things that the Catholic Church couldn't openly support. Because we all know, most of these Catholic bishops and stuff, the popes, they're gay. Okay? Pope Ratzinger, Pope Benedict, whatever you want to call him, is gay. I mean, it pretty much looks that way. You always hear that he's with that one, gosh, I can't think of that guy's name, but he's got that other guy high up in the Catholic Church that he keeps hanging out with, and everyone says that's who, Pope Benedict's lover is. And one time I watched this video, and you see this Pope, and you see these male dancers. Someone brought some little male dance troupe, and that little male dance troupe looked gay. Okay? And they bring this little dance troupe into the Vatican, I guess. and have them dancing, and it looks like the Pope's sitting there almost drooling. You can probably search for this on Google, on YouTube, and be able to find it. I'm on my laptop where I would just hit the key to play it, but my desktop, the microphone's out on it, so I'm having to use my laptop, so sorry, folks. Anyway, so, you know, I think the Episcopalian Church, when it has, like, gay, same-sex ceremonies and stuff, supports gay pastors, things like that, gay leaders in their church. I think they're really just, you know, basically the Catholic Church, and they just do the things that the Catholic Church can't do publicly, because if they did it publicly, then most of the people who belong to the Catholic Church would probably reject the Catholic Church. But it's pretty obvious, though, that when you see all these, like, pedophiles and all these, like, and it's always with little boys, you know, it's always men with little boys, you know, it's pretty sick. And, you know, homosexuality is rampant in the highest degrees of the Roman Catholic Church. And, you know, it's like, when people keep telling me, oh, Chris, you know, I don't support the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, me as a Catholic, we don't agree with everything the Catholic Church says. You know why Protestants don't go to Catholic Church? Because we don't agree with it. So we don't go to that church. So we don't support that church. See, but you do agree with it, or you would stop going. You can't go to a church just because your family goes, because God even says you're to love Him above your family. And to be honest, folks, if you think, you know, you're loving, that your family loves you, I mean, if you're supporting this, what the Bible's calling a whore, and I'm supporting this cancer on the world, how is that loving you? See, your family member obviously doesn't love you. If you left that church, you'd be showing more love, because you're like, I'm not going to support this cancer that's actually killing the world. But, you know, but for some reason, why keep going? Because your buddies go. You feel like, you know, don't even understand that, you know, like a lot of Protestants, we have to even leave Protestant churches sometimes, because we see that they start to become part of the world. So we got to leave these churches. Because, folks, you're not ever supposed to put these leaders above God. Okay, and I mean, then that's why Protestants protested the Catholic Church in the first place. Alright, folks, here's this little video of, like, I just want you folks to see this. Because here's a little video of the Pope just, like, checking out his male dancers. Oh, folks, and if you look down here, tell you what, it's like Pope Francis was a little upset with him. He's like, Benedict, you idiot. Right there. Benedict, you idiot. You use little boys. Little boys. And to me, that's why he wasn't super, super happy. But then there's this part where it's almost like he's, like, right there, that look on his face. But if you watch this male dancer right here on the left. He'll appear. And as he's unzipping, I'm betting he's looking Pope Benedict right in the eye, and Pope Benedict's looking him right in the eye as he's unzipping. Look at this look on his face. Now look at this male dancer. Oh, here he is. He's over on this side. He's kind of staring at this guy as he's unzipping. I bet he's making eye contact. No attention focused on this girl. I mean, dude, if you ever had sex forever, and you got that girl walking around, and why is your eyes on these guys? Anyway. Alright, so anyway, folks, basically, most of our problems or issues we have with our government today looks like it stems from Catholic control of our government, as the Catholic Church has taken more control of our government, as the Vatican has taken more control of our government. This foreign country has taken more control of our government. So everyone keeps going, oh man, watch out for the communists, watch out for those Marxists, watch out for the Muslim. Folks, your enemy is already right there in your face. So anyway, most of these problems that we have today, they do stem from the Catholic Church. People go, oh man, those darn socialists. Well, let me just play something. And let's see, because like I said, folks, I'm going to show you how most of our problems are actually coming from the Roman Catholic Church. It's coming from Vatican-endorsed doctrines, because you know who does sort of push a lot of socialism. You know, actually, the Vatican pushes a lot of socialism, and I just want to show you by playing you this little clip.
Budget plan based on Catholic social teaching.
Okay, see, this is Ralph Reed. He's talking about Paul Ryan. And this is at the 2012 election. And Ralph Reed is the chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition.
God, in 2000 of evangelicals. And I think with Ryan on the ticket, who's a, Catholic altar boy, serious Catholic, made a case for his budget plan based on Catholic social teaching, and this resonates with a lot of evangelicals.
See, right there he says he made the budget plan based on Catholic social teaching. Okay, I'm telling you folks, socialism and this Catholic social teaching go hand in hand. They go right in lockstep. Okay, and another problem with it, Ralph Reed keeps saying, it's like, keeps talking about all the support Romney and Ryan get. Let's back up a minute. The Republican Party has always been primarily Protestant. It has been almost all exclusively Protestant in its founding. Okay, now, I would say about 80% of the Republican Party is Protestant, at least 80%. But I think out of that 80%, and I pretty much think there's like a lot of people that just don't go and vote. And the reason why they don't go and vote is because of people like Romney and Paul Ryan. Like me, I didn't vote for the Republican Party at all. I don't think I voted for a single candidate on the Republican ticket. I think I wrote in 2 candidates, and I voted for one Libertarian I knew, and I didn't vote for anyone else. And and I'm a Protestant Christian, and I know a lot of people at several churches that did not even vote at all. And if anything, I was surprised because I went to this one seventh. Well, I know some people that go to a Seventh Day Adventist church, and they were telling me they voted for Obama. Now, I think that's just the craziest thing in the world because it's like, you gotta ask yourself, what is going on with church leadership when you even have members who would vote for Obama? I mean, what is wrong with these people? But anyway, I'm gonna move on. Okay, but my main point is, it's like if you want to win a race, why try to appeal to the gays, the Muslims, um, the illegal immigrants? Why is the Republican Party trying to appeal to all these people who probably won't vote for him anyway? But yet they wanna use this as an excuse to pass legislation. See, my whole thing is, I think these people are already most of them, even if they claim to be Protestant, they're probably really working for the Vatican. Because this isn't just, liberals and conservatives. This is Vatican versus Protestants. That's where you people have got to really open up your eyes and see where the true battle's taking place. Because this is about the Catholic Church, a foreign government that's paying all these electric, helping to get certain people elected. And these people are now doing the Vatican's bidding, and then they go, oh, we're losing the race. We need to pass this reform. That's why we're doing it. No, you're not. You're doing it because you're loyal, not to the Republican Party, not to the Republican Party's ideology. You're loyal to the Vatican, and you want to help this foreign power take full control of our nation, because you know good and well, passing these amnesty bills, passing this immigration reform that even Rand Paul is endorsing, that Rubio is endorsing. Rubio, a Roman Catholic who I don't think is even qualified to be considered a citizen. He's at least not even a natural born citizen because neither parent was a citizen at the time of his birth. That's the real requirement to be, a presidential candidate. Both your parents must be U.S. citizens at the time of your birth. Not just born here. Both your parents have to be citizens and you're born here. But then it doesn't really matter if you're born somewhere else, because if you're on vacation and your wife goes into labor, why should you not be considered a U.S. citizen if both your parents are citizens? So it's more important that both your parents are citizens. Because how can someone who's got no loyalty to America, they just show up on America on vacation, they might even hate America, they might just be visiting here, they have a kid. Oh, suddenly he's a citizen. Is this really the way that citizenship clause is supposed to be interpreted? Oh, he's a U.S. citizen now, he was born here. Parents hate America, parents go take him back to England, teach him all their hatred towards America. And then they're like, hey, we can go have the Vatican and all these foreign people that hate America sponsor this kid. They start backing him with money. Pretty soon he becomes president. This is what happened with Obama. And then it's like, folks, here's one for you. Why did the Federal Election Committee or Federal Election Commission, why did they overlook, looking up Obama's ID or birth certificate? Why did they not check in all that thoroughly? I mean, this should be so thoroughly checked into that no one is even coming up with these stupid, crazy birther conspiracies. But are these crazy and stupid birther conspiracies? I mean, apparently not. I don't, because people would not keep rehashing this and bringing this up. And why does he keep dodging this? I mean, it seems like you just come out to one court case and settle it. You know, show your birth certificate, settle, it's over. But see, I think the Federal Election Commission, they overlooked this because Obama's pro-amnesty, and most of them are for making America Catholic. Most of them are probably Roman Catholics. I can't hardly find all the information on all of them, but it seems to me that their desire for America to be more Catholic overrode everything else. So they were like, "Oh yeah, go ahead. You know, this guy's pro-amnesty." So I think that's why maybe they overlooked Obama's birth certificate. Obama's also pro-gun control. You know, didn't the Vatican say it was pro-gun control too? See, right here we got it. Vatican praises Obama's gun control proposal. See, you know what, folks? When the Vatican does this, it's basically telling the Catholics to support Obama on these gun control proposals. That's what this is telling them. I do hear a few Catholics here and there say, "Oh well, the church just suggests to us what we should do, but you know we don't have to do it." You know what? If you're going to the church, you're giving them money, and your leaders are supporting Obama, then you are supporting Obama, okay? And by going to that church, you know, the Catholic Church could say, "Look at all these numbers of Catholics out here. Look at them. We have this big number of Catholics going to our church. And I, the leader, the Pope, the Vatican, is saying that we support Obama on gun control." So that means, and folks, basically what that makes it look like is that the Vatican is speaking for all of you in support of gun control. And it's like, how can a Protestant differentiate? I mean, you're part of this church, and this is what your leadership is saying. See, that, folks, this is why Protestants got out of the Catholic Church, okay? Because you do a bunch of things that just aren't biblical. And biblically, we have a right to self-defense, okay? It's like the government does not have a right to take our guns away and take our measure of self-defense away. And you can't assume that the government's, like, suddenly just because a sinful man becomes a government official, oh, suddenly he's good, he's government. He's so good, he's got a halo on his head now. He's a police officer. Really, I mean, so why don't we just take in this one guy who's charged with child molestation, rape, murder, shooting his friends and whatever. Okay, let's pull him out of prison, slap a badge on him, make him a police officer. So suddenly, just being a police officer could all make him holy. Or we'll take him. We'll just put him in office. Let's elect him president, and he's just going to be holy. Folks, it's not for government. See, government can just because you take and you put a guy in office doesn't mean he's suddenly good. And a lot of people know power corrupts. Some people, they get a little taste of power and they become corrupt. You know, they get a little taste of money, wealth, they become corrupt. And now you want to take and give them all our guns? You're crazy. You are crazy. That's not what this is about. This, you know, the Second Amendment is so we can protect ourselves against government or any other hostile forces. So we can defend ourselves against, you know, someone down the street that just goes crazy. Because, folks, like, if someone's trying to break into your house, it's like, someone's trying to kill my wife right now. I better call 911. They got a gun. You know what, folks? They're going to shoot everybody, including you, and they're going to be gone, and they might never get caught. I dialed 911 several times, folks. And you know what? I've called the police a few times. When someone stole something from me, nothing's happened to them. But man, if I would have had a gun at that time, they wouldn't have took anything of mine. I caught some kids breaking into my car. They got away. If I had a gun, I could have just shot them in the leg, and they wouldn't have got away. And maybe they would have learned not to break into people's cars. They probably wouldn't have broken into several other people's cars. Why should people... folks, it might be really easy for an out-of-touch politician that makes, a couple $100,000 a year, plus gets kickbacks on the side with all the buddies he helps doing this illegal inside trading. So they're probably making millions. And so, they get a busted out car window or cell phone, $100 here and there. That's nothing to them. That's a couple of minutes work for them. Shoot, man, they do that on one insider trading deal, man, and that doesn't take them nothing. They know some information. They call up their buddy. Like, hey, I got this information about some insider, that might help you, with your stocks and stuff. I got some information that's going to go down, some legislation we're about ready to pass. And here they go, and their buddies make money, and they're all cool, and so it's like this is easy money to them. They're out of touch with reality. And besides that, they're making a couple $100,000 in their salaries. So it's like, they get a busted out window. Me, I get a busted out window. And it's like, it's a struggle for me to try to figure out how I'm going to pay for it. Most of the time when I get a busted out window, I'm driving around for a week or so. And sometimes rain's getting in my car, destroying my whole car, wreaking more damage. Because I can't afford to get it fixed right at that second. See, this is out of touch, and it's like, that's why it's like, what, I'm glad I got a gun. Someone does this stuff, they're going to get a bullet in their leg, and you know what, they're not going to do this to other people. I'll get a bullet in their leg if I'm that good of a shot. Hopefully I don't hit them somewhere else. That could kill them. So, so folks, it's like, you're better off having guns to defend yourself. And why they would ever want to take them away? It's probably so they control the police forces. And just like in Yugoslavia, that's what they did, back in, the 1940s. It's like, they slowly start passing bills. Suddenly the Ustashi get in power. And the people are unarmed, and they're easy prey. Hitler, they passed gun control laws. Hitler, who signed 4 concordates with the Vatican. Do you see the pattern here? Hitler, Roman Catholic, signs 4 concordates with the Vatican, and they're taking guns away and putting people into concentration camps. Same thing with Yugoslavia. Gun control, Catholics in power, concentration camps. Let's see about America. Bush bowing to the Pope. Obama's whole cabinet is Catholic. Obama even went to like a Catholic monastery or something like that to study Islam. And folks, yes, the Catholic Church does let Muslims learn about Islam in their own schools and things like that. I think it happens I know it happens in Indonesia. I think it happens in Algeria. Well, I don't know about Algeria, but I do know this, that when we bombed Kosovo, when we bombed those Christian Serbs of Kosovo, which was right after Clinton met with John Paul in St. Louis, well, soon after that, we go and bomb Kosovo. Did the Pope give, Clinton an order? But hey, funny thing is, now these Algerian Muslims, they're saying they're all buddy with the Catholics. They say that, and I read this in Catholic publications, and they said that, we're thankful for the Catholics for helping us out. And now we have service even in their own churches. See, it's real weird because I remember watching this video. In fact, and here's a video of them burning down these churches in Kosovo. The Albanian Muslims. I'm sorry, Albanian Muslims, burning down churches, Serbian churches in Kosovo. There's one right up on top there, just tearing the cross right on off. And this video just got some music playing in the background, but I heard like another one, and I can't find it, where you can, it sounds like people are cheering in the background. And you can see, see, there they go, cheering and clapping. Here he goes, tearing another cross right on off. But see, they're buddies with the Catholics, but it's the Catholics they're buddy with. Just like in Yugoslavia, the Yugoslavians let them, they were throwing gypsies, Jews, and other Christians in concentration camps who wouldn't convert to Catholicism, but yet they let Muslims run their concentration camps. Albanian Muslims, they let them run their concentration camps. So, and here we see again, and we see Albanian Muslims tearing up these churches, and I don't know, and I didn't hear of any Catholic church getting tore up. And here's the kicker, folks. You got NATO forces, and you can't see them in this video. I've seen them in other videos, so I can't find it off the top of my head. But in these other videos, you got NATO forces just standing around. See, I think if that was a Catholic church, they would have stopped it. But, oh, it's a Christian church. Go ahead and burn it down. Because you got to think, NATO is pretty much under the control of the Vatican. So, folks, see, the Vatican is united with Islam. And whether, and it's might be covertly, but they're united with them. And and I don't think this genocide that they talked about in Time magazine really happened the way they said. In fact, this one website I went to, I think it's called the emperorsnewclothes.com, or I think TENC.com, and I think it's this guy by the name of Jared Israel, showed how that these like so-called camps in Kosovo, when everyone said all this genocide was going on, they said like actually that picture that you see, it's from a now the photographer was inside the fence. The other people, they were outside the fence. But
here's Thomas Deichmann. He was the German journalist who first raised suspicions about these famous ITN pictures. He's saying, look at some newspapers, most of the Western media. Not only is there no real difference in opinion on foreign policy matters, but even the same phrases are repeated. You see the same pictures with the same captions again and again. The ITN pictures bothered Deichmann. Looking at them, one night his wife noticed something. ITN claimed the Bosnian Muslims were imprisoned behind barbed wire. Why, she wondered, was the wire attached on their side of the fence? They could pull out the nails. Dyckman smelled a rat. He suspected the photos had been fabricated. He suspected special camera angles, tricky editing. He wanted to go to Ternopily to see for himself. And there he saw the concentration camp that never existed. Examining things on location, Dyckman saw what had been done. The reporters, Penny Marshall and the others and her crew, were in a barbed wire enclosed space near a transformer station and barn. From there, they took pictures of refugees who were walking around quite freely outside the fence. During his visit, Dyckman made a drawing of the buildings and people as they had appeared on the day the ITN crew filmed at Ternopily. There was a barn and a transformer station, a refugee center building, an open-air reception area, a recreation area near the refugee center, the fenced-in area from inside which the ITN crew did their filming, and the barbed wire and chicken wire which was portrayed as evidence of a death camp at Ternopily. What Thomas Dyckman realized was the Western world had been deceived by pictures fashioned using camera angles and editing. He published his conclusions in the newspaper Novo. His report was picked up by a small alternative London magazine called Living Marxism, or LM. On January 23, 1997, ITN struck back. The big news station and reporters Ian Williams and Penny Marshall, who had been awarded several prestigious awards for the phony pictures from Ternopily, including the Royal Television Society and BAFTA awards, filed suit against LM, charging libel. What really happened at Omarska and Ternopily the day Penny Marshall filmed? The impression one would get from the pictures everyone saw was that ITN sneaked into a Bosnian Serb death camp and hurriedly shot some pictures and then rushed off. This is simply untrue. On August 5th, 1992, Channel 4 reporter Ian Williams, ITN reporter Penny Marshall, ITN cameraman Jeremy Irvin, and their technical crew asked for and were granted permission to visit Omarska and Ternopily, claiming that they wanted to show the world how the loyalist authorities treated rebel POWs and how they helped local Muslim refugees to survive. The local authorities provided military escort since fighting was going on nearby. So these two crews, the ITN crew and ours, visited two locations that day. The first stop was Omarska. This is Simo Diljacha, chief of the public security forces at Omarska. Here we see him talking to the reporters from ITN and from the Yugoslav crews. The crews were allowed to film whatever they wanted and to talk to anyone they liked. But the ITN people never showed the public any of the footage shot in Omarska. Why?
Could it be because Omarska didn't look that bad? That it didn't give the proper image of a Serbian detention center? We visited the prison, which had previously been the conference hall of the local mining company administration building. As we and the Yugoslav crew filmed that day, we often accidentally included pictures of Ms. Marshall, shown here, and other members of her ITN crew. We talked to the prisoners at lunchtime. We talked to their wives and children who visited them freely. We talked to their wives and children who visited them freely.
Iskreno volio bih da ovi iz treće kategorije ostanu na ovim prostorima, da zajednički opet živimo.
A tragic note. After Penny Marshall's report was released, Mr. Simo Doliac's name was put on a so-called secret list of Hague war crime suspects. He was never brought to trial. Instead, he was shot dead by NATO troops while fishing with his son and brother-in-law on July 10, 1997. Why? Was this just a coincidence? Next, the two film crews visited a humanitarian refugee center in the village of Trnapolje, some 3 to 4 kilometers away from Omarska. The center was mainly used by people in transit. They were trying to get away from the fighting and needed a place to stay during their travels. Our reporter, Mr. Bojanic, talked to some of these people who had escaped the war zone.
Kakav vam je status ove? Da li imate slobodu kretanja? Da li možete ići odavde i povratak? Ja sam došao, sam imao sreću, pa sam došao sa malom djecom, bila pretežno mala djeca, pa sam došao sa njom, to je mi spoj. Tu smijena slikoma, niko ne sve vjera. Ja sam tako uzajati u sve, on je pokuplo, valjda, su rekli da ne znam kuda prosto vjera, moji su već stigli u Zagrebi. A ovaj su neki sinca koja imao rodbene u većinom svi su Hrvati.
The refugee center at Trnapolje included a medical facility. The Yugoslav and ITN crews interviewed Dr. Mestranic Idris, a Muslim doctor there.
Mi ovdje to je od 26. maja, od 26. maja i bilježenih ima 5169. Svi nisu bilježeni.
Jeste vam što ti slučaje?
Jer na početku samo bio je jedan stari čovjek, to je inače star čovjek i ostalo.
Nije odnosno šta se lijepo?
Ovdje ima i dom zdravlja i bolnica i jako velike probleme, isto i sa antibioticima i sa svim ljekovima za struje. Znači, to je problem na čitavom ovom rejonu, ne samo kod nas.
While you're viewing this film, keep in mind that these pictures, the interviews with the refugees, the Muslim doctor, and so on, which suggest a humane refugee center functioning under difficult conditions, were never shown by the ITN news station in Britain. And keep in mind that this refugee center is the place that ITN portrayed as a death camp.
Danas smo ovdje ljudi uglavnom sa ovog terena koji dobrovoljno dolazili, vjerovatno izbog nedostatka hrane, a vrlo često je bilo pitanje evakuacija zemlje, u stvari da se krene prema centralnoj posti.
Pošto ste u organizaciji, velike međunarodne organizacije, da li ste dobivali pomoć iz centrale nekih iz bivših odbora?
Ne, ovoga nismo dobijali, nismo došli dobijali samo pomoć na ime izbjeglica iz Hrvatske. Međutim, na ime ovog stanja, ovdje što se sad dešavalo, pomoć je pristižala uglavnom ispravo, ali međunarodna pomoć stvarno ne mogu reći da je međunarodna pomoć. Otkako je krenuo ova ratna dejstva u Siriji, u stvari nema status izbjeglica, nego status raseljenih lica. Tako tretman.
After the conversation with the Red Cross representative, we passed a group of new refugees. They were being registered by the civil authorities. Miss Marshall chose not to set up her cameras and film in this open area. Instead, she and her crew maneuvered into a partly enclosed space used as a storage area for wheelbarrows and the like. The dilapidated fence had chicken wire on the bottom, a few strands of barbed wire on top to discourage theft. Our crew filmed the ITN people as they maneuvered into this area through a hole in the broken down fence. Then we followed, and both crews set up within the enclosure, filming the refugees wandering around outside. There were heaps of building material and barrels, and we kept stumbling over them while trying to set up. Miss Penny Marshall tried to talk to the nearest refugees, but in vain, since she didn't speak Serbo-Croatian. People searched for someone who could speak English. While they were looking, our reporter, Mr. Bozanic, talked to some of the refugees.
Ja mislim da ovdje može se živjeti, jer nije bilo da što. Želili bi da živimo i dalje, da ne idemo svoji ognjišta.
Someone in front of the crowd of refugees said, "Here, this one speaks English," pointing to Mr. Mamet in the overalls. Mr. Bozanic from the Yugoslav crew filmed Penny Marshall's conversation with Mehmet. Later, the following was shown in Yugoslav TV, with Mr. Bozanic supplying an informal translation of the English conversation.
Da nema ničeg lošeg. Da iska toplo, ali da ne spavaju ovdje, napolju. U školu. I jesu li vas kontaktirali, pita britanska reporterka. Ne, oni su vrlo fini, kaže Mekan.
Are you a fighter?
No, da nije bio borac.
You're safe here.
I da se osjeća ovdje vrlo sigurno. I da je osim vrućine sve ostalo u redu.
This man is very thin.
Ovaj čovjek je vrlo mršav, insistirala reporterka, a Mehmed odgovorio.
Penny Marshall had set up her cameras behind barbed wire. She was in position. Now she searched the crowd for that perfect look. She wanted a star for her story, the story she would sell the world. You will see her conversation with Mehmet from our camera's angle once again. To make it clearer this time, here's a little diagram showing the position of the two crews. The ITN people are the blue circle on the left. We're the red circle on the right. Because the film crews were a yard apart, we filmed the same shots from a slightly different angle. Sometimes we filmed the ITN people as well. Miss Marshall is interviewing Mehmet.
Hello.
My name is Brett.
How did you come to be here? What happened?
I think it's very fine. Nothing wrong. Very fine.
He's outside?
No, inside. No. Very fine.
You're fine.
Very.
How did you come here? You're a fighter.
Mr. Butt. He's a butt.
Are you a fighter?
No.
You came to your house and took you.
Yes.
You just safe here.
I think it's very safe, but it's very hot. Other things, it's very.
This man is very thin.
It's very thin, but I think. All people is not the same. No, I think the refugee, right, not if you want to get on the spot, yes or no, I think it depends on the legal government.
It cannot be here.
No, not now.
Where are the women, the children?
We're the government, which is the house.
Well, anyway, folks, I don't want to play the whole video. I didn't even mean to play that much, but I thought there were some critical things, and there's actually some pretty good things in part 3. You can see the title. All you gotta do is just type it in the YouTube search engine. You can find it, or type in Jared Israel's name, and you can find you'll be able to find this video. You know, just remember this name: hoax of the Bosnian Serb death camp. But as you're listening to that video, you can hear him say that, tell that woman, she's like asking about, that skinny guy, and he's like, well, we're not all built the same. We're different, and it's like, and you can see how when they were showing that diagram that they were the ones fenced in. And this is part of the hoax that they use to get us into these wars, to make it okay for the U.S. to support bombing Kosovo. So we helped kill innocent Christians. And that's why it's like, just boggles my mind when people, can just take and vote for these politicians and they just have no conscience about it. I mean, folks, if you're voting for these people, you might as well take and go kill these people yourself. You are the same. You've got to stop voting for them. And it's sad to say that, folks, I mean, Ron Paul's caught up in all this mess. And this is why I don't get a lot of subscribers, because I know this makes a lot of people mad. But when you start looking at his homeschool curriculum, why is it all Roman Catholics? And why are they all pushing like a lot of lies that the South propagated, or during the 1860s? Because the South had like all these phony reasons, phony states' rights reasons for going into war with the North. But you could see one of their primary things was always slavery. And they really felt that the North was a threat to end slavery. And that's pretty much, it's pretty much what it was all about. And yes, Lincoln has said quotes like, if he could preserve the Union and keep slavery, he would. But, folks, it's hard to say how much of this is just political talk, because it's like other writings I read of his, it seemed like he really hated slavery, and it seemed like it really bothered him as a young child. And I think he grew up with it still bothering him, because there's this story of him watching a family get separated at a slave auction where they sell the wife. I think they sold the wife off to one and the husband off to someone else. I mean, the South was just cruel and despicable. These were despicable people. Because how could you do this to human beings? And I've heard like, oh, they were just trying to, make a living, and the North owned, the Northern banks owned it. Well, if the Northern banks had any part to do with it, I don't see why. And if Lincoln was in league with the Northern banks, then why did he create the greenback? See, the greenback was created to keep us out of debt. Banks want you to be more and more into debt. I've heard a lot of phony excuses, and I don't like any of the excuses I hear. It's like, come on, folks. They used to make black people in the South laugh into a laughing barrel. They beat them with whips. I mean, they forced their religions on them. They slept with their slaves. I mean, it's like, and then they would take and sell families apart. They took and bred them like animals and sold them, and would sell the children off to other people. I mean, it wasn't a good institution. Now you got these people trying to say the South is right. Because this is what Ron Paul is saying, folks. This is what all his buddies like Tom Woods, Gary North, DiLorenzo, but Weaver probably hangs out with him because Weaver hangs out with DiLorenzo. Because, see, I know some of these people from the Constitution Party. That's where I know DiLorenzo from, and I know Weaver from, and I know Weaver and DiLorenzo both teach the exact same thing, so I'm thinking they're buddies. They're both in the Constitution Party, so I'm pretty sure they buddied around. I know Weaver spoke at Constitution Party events. I think DiLorenzo has, he spoke on The American View, which is hosted by Peruka, who ran for president of the Constitution Party. So, folks, it's like I really know these people. I know what they're about. And if they were really good people, I would have kept staying in the party. I got in a fight about it because we were losing so many people. I couldn't. I was busting my ass to try to grow the Constitution Party. And now then you got Peruka, who would open up his big mouth on his radio show and start going off about Lincoln. See, everything about the party seemed fine. They seemed so righteous and so biblically based, and then they would just always like throw monkey wrenches and things like that. And Peruka, I thought it was kind of nice to hear someone go off on Dobson and all these other people for all these like fake Christian leaders that were supporting, crooked politicians. But one thing Michael Peruka never did was he never went off on the Vatican. Searched his whole website for something. His website was up for years. Not one comment about the Vatican. Oh, because that's a big red flag, especially when the Vatican, and you see what they promote. They push socialism. They push, they got all these like pedophile priests, and they're trying to tell you, your congregation, what to do. And also, the Bible calls them the whore of Revelation. They killed more Christians than anyone. I mean, they were involved with Hitler. And yeah, Michael Peruka, no problem. Well, I go look at Michael Peruka, I see he's Jesuit schooled, so he is a Roman Catholic. So, and no wonder he's got DiLorenzo on a show. And then I start putting two to two together. I'm like, DiLorenzo, he's Jesuit schooled, Roman Catholic. They're both saying they hate Lincoln and telling all these lies about Lincoln. They're both Roman Catholics. I start reading more history, about Lincoln. And it's like, I stumbled across the books. I even brought this stuff up to, Peruka's attention, all these books written in the 1800s. And he told me, oh, that was written after the fact. It's like, man, those were written like a few years, and you're telling me they were written after the fact. Well, I'm actually not sure if it was John Lofton or Michael Peruka, because I just commented on the message board on their site, and that's the comment I got back. Anyway, I don't know. That just bothered me. That's their strong argument, that it was written after the fact. Because all history is written after the fact. If you took and grabbed something to drink, and I wrote, you grabbed something to drink. Wow, I just wrote that after the fact. Even though it was a split second later, I just wrote it. That was written after the fact. Just horrible argument. And it's like, when you see all these like Catholics that were involved in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. John Surratt was even found hiding as a bodyguard in the Vatican after he killed Lincoln. And the Pope knew he was looking for. The whole world knew that these guys were being looked for, and they were helping him hide. They were all 10 co-conspirators were Roman Catholic educated. All 10 of them. So, and it's like in Jefferson Davis, You know, him and the Pope wrote letters to one another, you know, and Jefferson Davis is calling Pope Your Honorable Your Holiness, and the Pope says Your Honorable President. Well, you know what? These open letters, they irritated the Union because they said that, you know, these letters are making all the Catholics of the North support you. And then Pope tried to say, "Oh no, we're not officially, you know, recognizing the Confederate States." Yes, you are. You just called him president. But see, they did this for political reasons, you know, to try to calm Lincoln down, and basically just lied. But no, when you call someone your honorable president, you're recognizing them. And this did have that effect. There were riots and things like that against Lincoln because of this. So, this is why, you know, I'm really against Ron Paul, and I think Ron Paul is something called controlled opposition. So yes, folks, he will say some things that sound like some things that you would want a truther to say. But let's remember, this is still the guy who publicly said that he thinks 9/11 was a result of terrorists, but they just hate our foreign policy. But he still believes the official story, and still accepts the official story. So, I mean, this is, and I got problems with it. You know, the Vatican's the one calling for gun control. And yet here he's got all these Roman Catholics writing this thing, and now and people are going to keep saying, well, you know, there's some good Roman Catholics. You know what, folks? There might be a few naive, good Roman Catholics, but these people he's associated with are not. These people are your like top propaganda creators, word twisters, and they're trying to twist the history to make it as favorable as possible for the Roman Catholic Church to deflect the blame. Ron Paul's the same guy who says it publicly they helped get Reagan elected, and Reagan helped remove laws in 1983 so a Vatican embassy could be established. These laws were put in effect in 1867 because of the Vatican's interference with our government. And they existed from 1867 all the way to 1983 when Reagan gets elected. And then you see on the front of Time Life News, a Holy Alliance. And and folks, I mean, this is where the real heart of the battle is. You know, they control the media. That's why all you see is Sean Hannity, who's a Roman Catholic, Ann Coulter, who's a Roman Catholic, Laura Ingraham, who's a Roman Catholic. And yeah, sometimes, you know, I listen to Laura Ingraham and I'm like, wow, you know, she sounds pretty good. But you know what, folks, it's still just to control the opposition. I mean, that's all it exists. She will say some good things, because if she just spoke about their whole agenda that they really want to pass, you would never trust her. See, what it is like you're sitting there thinking someone's speaking the truth, but then at the last second, they still put in a bad candidate that still does their bidding. So they're saying a lot of the things you want them to say, and at the last minute, they'll somehow work in this bad candidate. Just like, you know, Rand Paul, man, said some speeches, man, that just, I mean, man, I was like, that's an awesome speech. And then the next thing you know, he's supporting Amnesty. This is how they work. And then you just got to get this through your head. And unless you're going to wake up and realize the Vatican's ruling this country, the Vatican's a foreign country, folks. It's a foreign country. And these people have loyalty to it. And this is what you have to wake up and realize. And they say the takeover is almost complete. So they're pushing so hard for this amnesty. They want this amnesty now. They want to take your guns now. Because I think they're also kind of afraid people might wake up. And if you wake up, you're going to stop it. But they almost have total control. They got almost entirely Catholic generals. You know, many of your police chiefs are Roman Catholic. Many of your police officers are Roman Catholic. You know, your head of CIA, head of FBI, they're Roman Catholic. Or they're Jesuit school, but either way, it's all the same. You know, your Department of Defense, Roman Catholic. Your vice president's a Roman Catholic. I mean, I go to the Tea Party, and they're promoting nothing but Roman Catholic candidates. I mean, when you're watching this election, who did you have to choose from? You know, pretty much nothing but Roman Catholics. I mean, even in the primary, because Ron Paul is a Roman Catholic. He might call himself Baptist, but there seems to be a lot of these Baptists, Methodists, Episcopalians, and Presbyterians. You know, mainly I noticed really a lot of the Baptists, Presbyterians, and Episcopalians especially. And quite a few Methodists, actually, that they seem to have more allegiance to the Roman Catholic Church. And, folks, you know, when everyone made this big stink about Obama, you know, bowing to a foreign leader, what about when your own church leaders bow to bow to someone? What does that signify? Doesn't that signify that they're submissive to another leader?
May I present Archbishop Arsenian, Primate of the Eastern Diocese of the Armenian Church in America.
According to ecumenical protocol, the Eastern Orthodox would be first in order, as they are, of course, first in priority in the Catholic Church's ecumenical responsibility.
May I present Archbishop the Legate and Ecumenical Officer of the Eastern Diocese of the Armenian Church in America and President of the National Council of Churches in the United States. Holiness, may I present Reverend Dr. Donald McCoy, representing the presiding Bishop Mark Hanson of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. May I present Bishop Jeremiah J. Park, Bishop of the New York Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church.
Well, folks, I seem to be having some problems with my video, and it's kind of freezing up. But as you can see, like, in this video, got all these Protestant leaders, so-called Protestant leaders, bowing down to the Pope. One by one. Pope's not bowing to them, they're bowing to the Pope. And why is all of them coming to bow to him? Why isn't he humble enough to go? Why isn't there like another leader and he goes and bows to the other leader? Why is everyone coming to him? Just like when we get a president elected, what do? They fly over there and they go bow to the Pope. It's like one of the first things he'd go do is go see the Pope. And people want to tell me Jews run the world, Israel runs the world. You're insane. No, you're not insane. I think you're just liars. Or there's something so evil and wicked in your heart, it's deceiving even your own mind. You're just wicked up in your mind. Because, I mean, the facts are, and all the evidence shows, this guy is the one who all your leaders are bowing to. This is a foreign leader of a foreign country, too. But why is your church leaders bowing to him? Why are your church leaders bowing to him? Isn't that just like a, you get mad at Obama for bowing to these other foreign leaders? What about your own church leaders when they bow to the Pope? This man who is written about in the book of Revelation, the Antichrist. That is the Antichrist. Because anti means in place of Christ. And I always have heard, Vicar of Christ means God on earth. Or the representative of Christ on earth. This guy is actually called the representative of Christ on earth. They do things like the Inquisition. Things like, they definitely had a hand in Kosovo. The Inquisition of Yugoslavia. Signing 4 concordats with Hitler. I mean, come on. That's the Antichrist. If not, it sure is a very good representation of him. And folks, you gotta remember the Bible says, when Jesus says narrow is the way. There's 1 billion people in just this one church. That doesn't seem too narrow to me. In fact, this ecumenical movement, this seems pretty broad. And here's Gary North's site. Gary North, who is Ron Paul's director of his homeschooled curriculum. Look at this title. What every evangelical homeschool parent wants: a Roman Catholic Greek curriculum. Really? A Protestant wants a Roman Catholic curriculum? You're not a Protestant if that's what you want. Okay, folks, here's an article. It says Cardinal urges Catholic college leaders to embrace immigration reform, which is basically amnesty. And this is by Carol Zimmerman, Catholic News Service. Anyway, down here it says the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors, or DREAM Act, has been introduced in Congress in various forms since 2001. The bills have had bipartisan congressional backing and broad faith group and higher education support. Local, state, and national Catholic organizations have been in the forefront of campaigns to pass the bills. The most recent version passed the House in 2010, but the Senate version fell 5 votes short of the 60 needed to break a filibuster thread. The measure would have regularized the legal status of those who came to the United States before the age of 16, live here at least 5 years, graduated from a U.S. high school, and were pursuing higher education or military service. But anyway, folks, this is just to show you folks that, like I said, this is by Carol Zimmerman of the Catholic News Service, so this isn't like some Protestant making stuff up. They're the ones who are backing this, okay? Because it says it right here. Catholic organizations have been the forefront of campaigns to pass the bills. They're the ones who have been at the forefront because they want to make America more Catholic. And here's the odd thing. Now, I was reading this one article, and it's about Obama deporting he's sending some immigrants back to Germany for homeschooling their kids. They're German immigrants, and he's making them go back to Germany. But yet he releases 2,000 illegal aliens who are criminals and lets them back out on the street. See, if you're a Christian and you're homeschooling your kids, you don't get to live in America. But hey, you can be a murderer, a thief, a criminal. I think some of them were convicted of child molesting. But hey, you're not a Protestant, so hey, you could stay here and go run right back out on the street. See, Obama did that as like that. He said he had to release him because of the sequester and stuff like that. And it's like, it's just, I mean, folks, they're just making up any excuses. And I was looking into Sandy Hook, right? Sandy Hook. See, Connecticut is ran by a bunch of Roman Catholics. You got that Mario Testa, and I guess he has there's even been charges of voter fraud against him, but yet this man keeps getting elected. He's an immigrant from Italy, Roman Catholic, and he basically has all these connections and helps out all these other Catholic politicians getting elected in Connecticut. And in Connecticut, man, you got two. You had one guy just get done serving a 9-year sentence for corruption charges, a mayor. And he's Mario Testa's friend. And he's Roman Catholic. And you got all these Roman Catholics that are all involved in that Sandy Hook. Everyone you need to pull, if you folks really think that's a conspiracy, a serious conspiracy that the government did, why not look at those people and say, wow, they want to pass gun control. The Vatican openly supports Obama on gun control. So the Vatican's basically telling Catholics, support Obama on gun control. Support gun control. That's what they're telling. That's what he's telling. And the Catholic Church has also put about, what was it, $3.5 million the past couple of years into Amnesty, into into trying to promote getting this immigration reform passed in the United States. $3.5 million. So they really want this passed pretty bad. And now you see all the, and see, it's you folks don't want these illegal immigrants, but yet here's Rand Paul, who, and his dad, Ron Paul, is so buddy-buddy with the Roman Catholics, and Rand Paul's doing exactly what you think a good Roman Catholic son would do, because Ron Paul doesn't seem to have any real Protestant buddies. They're all Roman Catholics. And the few Protestant buddies he might have, I bet they're fake. And I bet they're probably connected to Liga South. Or that South was right garbage. So anyway, Rand Paul's, when I see him passing this immigration, I predicted it. Because I said, he's Ron Paul's son. He's gonna pass. He's gonna be for amnesty because he's for making America Catholic. So is Ron Paul. Ron Paul says all this stuff on the, folks, Ron Paul says a lot. But there's a lot more he could have done to draw attention. He's the one who took and who wouldn't attack Romney. Why not? Because that was not his goal. His goal was just to kind of preoccupy the Patriot movement. Just say enough, just look real enough, and just fool you guys just enough. Just enough to hold you back. Because, folks, that's all they're trying to do, is just kind of hold you back. It's okay, guy, okay, Ryan, you do this. Okay, Rubio, you do this. I'm holding him back. I'm holding him back. And that's all his little Constitution lip service is. That's all this is, folks. It's lip service. There's a lot more he could do. Folks, you give me $1 million a year, because that's about how much Ron Paul is making off the Liberty Movement, and I guarantee you, I could take this pretty far. I just need probably a couple 100,000, like maybe 100,000. That way my wife wouldn't have to work, and I could have her do all the things around the house I need done, and I can just focus on doing this. But I could really do it, because I mean, all it takes is, organizing public events, organizing various things, and really attacking this, and being very vigilant about it. But just to say a few token things here and there on a TV interview, it doesn't do it. No, you gotta take it and go attack these people and bring up these issues to put them in their face and put them on the defensive. You attack and you put them on the defensive. It's pretty easy. I mean, I'm pretty sure, folks, that I could at least attack these people enough. If I had enough free time, I could attack these people enough to where they would have to expose themselves. They would be exposed. And if they're not exposed, it would only be because people's hearts are so wicked they just want to ignore the truth. But I got people at my work that I actually never really thought I could get them to come around, but I felt like, okay, maybe, I'm still stuck here because I'm being judgmental because I really hate my job. I work at a cold dock, during the winter, and I'm like, I really hate my job. And I'm a really small guy, I only weigh about 120 pounds. So I'm not built to pick up heavy freight, move 500-pound drums around and things like that. It really breaks my body down. My body is not meant for this stuff. And I have like Raynaud's phenomenon, so I have bad circulation. And any kind of stress, which my job gets stressful, it causes my circulation to be cut off. So I'm actually just like freezing and in pain and in misery most of the time I'm at my job. My job is the absolute worst job for a person like me to be working. But it's the only job I could find where I could keep the Sabbath and make enough to get by. Make enough to where I could have a house, internet so I could research things, and own a cell phone, and I own a used car, and I live pretty modestly, folks, and I'm just scraping by, and me and my wife, we barely make our bills, and she has even worse. But we don't go and spend gobs of money. We just we eat nice, but we never eat out. We eat good grocery store food, and that's about it. But it's but I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm just stuck at my job because maybe I'm being judgmental. I keep trying to make myself humble. Sometimes folks, you might think you're humble, but then you gotta really ask yourself, are you really being humble? And so I'm starting to or are you being judgmental and you just don't know it? It's constantly push myself. So I start talking to these people at my work, and I'm thinking, okay, they'll never accept this stuff. And it's really, folks, I know, education-wise, I'm way over most of their heads. But you know what? I actually, if I start, I start getting them to come around. People that you would just think were just totally brainwashing the system. I could actually sit there and start talking to them and pointing out little bitty things here and there. You gotta be very, clever about it. You just start pointing out things that they're interested in, they're passionate about. You gotta kind of and you just slowly, you can just start slowly talking more and more, and getting a little bit more, I guess, in depth with them. And it's I've gotten a few of them to open up their eyes to, just how much the Roman Catholic Church controls them, just how bent society just has really bent and distorted what the true perception of the world should be. So anyway, it's But I mean, so it's like I think you can talk to these people. You know what I mean? I think most of the people at my work is what most people would just feel like, oh, just give up on them. But it's like I mean, I always felt like these people could be reached. I just thought it would take more resources. So it's not really taking as much resources as I thought, but still, it's like it would be nice if I could make better videos, if I had time to make these videos, and I think I could, break down things enough for where people could start at the beginning and see and just see how everything is working to the detriment of the United States. I mean, these people can be exposed. They just don't go. They just choose not to expose them. Like I said, Ron Paul. That's all these people do is just sit there like, okay, I kind of got him occupied. I kind of got him entertained. I'm holding him back. This is what I think of Chris Green, Josh Tolley. Gosh, man, there's a few others out there. I'm just kind of bringing up them because they just kind of disappoint me the most because I kind of like those people, and I feel like they're not saying anything. I mean, Alex Jones, I definitely think he's a total shill. But I'm starting to really think, even people like, that you would think's legit, like Chris Green and Josh Tolley. Like, I mean, because why are these people never talking about Vatican control? Because it's like, it's so obvious. Mexicans are Catholic. Catholic Church is putting in all this money to make amnesty happen. All these politicians like Ron Paul, and all these others are tied in to the Roman Catholic Church. That's all their buddies are. They're pushing for immigration reform. It put two and two together. So, anyway, folks, I think that's it for my video, and later.